All right, thank you all and welcome. This is a little bit of a different setup here. Uh, I just did my test earlier today. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so today I'm going to be reviewing this article here. Just posted an hour ago. Not reviewing, but giving my hot take on this case that has been out. The FBI has confirmed that the remains found in Florida are missing fugitive Brian Laundrie. So most know, certainly if you're familiar with the information of sorts that goes around, like current news and stuff, you're familiar with the Gabby Petito case. I kept myself intentionally not as informed as I could be about the case because I did see it as an incredible distraction from what was going on in terms of global issues that were happening at the time, and I whether or not that's accurate, it doesn't matter. There was some attention drawn to this, heavy attention drawn to this. I couldn't get away from the internet with people with posts saying, "Oh, this and this." They could have seen it. The one thing I did see was the video of. I did see the video of the police interaction. I watched that in its entirety, of them being pulled over in either Colorado or Wyoming, wherever they were at the time. I saw that encounter with the police where they wound up taking Brian Laundrie to a hotel for the night and then reintroduce them in the morning. Let's just get into this article, or not. Hopefully it lets me read this article in its entirety without having to do a bunch of that business. So I won't introduce, I'm just going to read this article really quick, because familiarize yourself with the case if you're not familiar with it, and if you are, then I don't know why this thing is appearing on my screen whatsoever. I don't know why. I haven't the slightest clue as to why. It's very strange. That's weird. Well, here, let me give you a little bit of an introduction. I usually don't make commentary about things like this, but here's the thing. Gabby Petito went missing. They were on a trip from Florida, I guess. They were making cross-country trip. Brian Laundrie drove back with the, van or whatever from Wyoming. Gabby's remains were found in Wyoming in a area somewhere, and Brian Laundrie was the prime suspect, and he had they were looking for him in Florida. He was presumed to be on this certain property, and he was found. So, without lots of context to the police interaction, does or does not, it doesn't really provide much. What it does do is, I see how some people could attribute the behavior seen in that video to what eventually could have transpired. Now that Brian Laundrie is dead, that is never going to be for certain whether or not he was the one that killed her. If considering that is what happened, that will never be known now. So anyone that tells you elsewise, then they're lying to you because they don't have the information. All right, so I'm trying not to look at all these videos playing, but everything is just playing by itself. I don't know, independent.co.uk. I just come here because technically it doesn't have an agenda for American news. So they don't have any, there's less of a reason for them to lie because they don't have any influence over the minds of American people except their culture, obviously. All right, so let's go ahead and read this article here. Sorry if I'm rambling. I'm doing this first time, so let's just first time live. All right, the FBI has confirmed that the human remains found in a Florida nature reserve are those of a missing fugitive, Brian Laundrie. Investigators confirmed the identification of Mr. Laundrie's skeletal remains the day after they were discovered at the Carlton Reserve near his backpack, notebook, and items of clothing. Law enforcement officials say the identification was carried out using dental records, and the announcement came 38 days after Gabby Petito's fiancé was reportedly last seen by his parents. On 21st of October 2021, a comparison of dental records confirmed that the human remains found were Brian Laundrie's, tweeted the FBI Denver office. So, was he found in... Okay, he was found in Florida. Why is the... I guess because... I don't know. Don't ask me why. Denver is reporting it. Is there a Denver in Florida? Gabby's family is not doing interviews or making any statements at this time. Says Petito Schmidt family attorney Rick Stafford. They are grieving the loss of their beautiful daughter. Gabby's family will make a statement at the appropriate time and when they are emotionally ready. The Laundrie family lawyer Steve Bertolino said that they had been told about the identification of their son's body. Comparison, yada, yada, yada. Chris and Roberta Laundrie have been informed that the remains found yesterday in the reserve are indeed Brian's, and Mr. Bertolino, in a statement, we have no further comment at this time. We ask you respect the Laundrie family's privacy at this time. The remains were discovered on the same day that Laundrie's parents made their first visit to the park since it was reopened. Mr. Bertolino told CNN that the area remains were found in was the very area of the park that we initially informed law enforcement on at the meeting with the police on the 17th of September. Earlier in the day, Northport police said humans remained found at the Carlton Reserve were definitely those of a human. They said they are human remains, no doubt there. I would say that the remains were consistent with one individual, skeletal remains. Northport Police spokesperson Josh Taylor told CNN. Investigators also found clothing believed to belong to Brian. That was there as well. It is consistent with what he believed to be wearing, added Mr. Taylor. During the Wednesday announcement that humans remains had been found, law enforcement officials for the first time described Gabby's death as a murder. As you are aware, the SBI and Northport Police Department and our state law enforcement office partners have been searching the area of the Carlton Reserve for Brian Laundrie, a person of interest in the murder of Gabby Petito. FBI Tampa Division Special Agent in charge Michael McPherson said. In September, Laundrie was named by police as a person of interest in Petito's disappearance. A federal arrest warrant was issued in Wyoming for his arrest, charging him with the unauthorized use of a Capital One bank debit card between the 30th of August and September 1. Gabby Petito and Laundrie, 23, had spent the summer traveling across the western U.S. in her white van, regularly posting pictures and videos of their van life adventure to social media. All right. Yeah, here we go into the altercation. So on 12 August, police of Moab, Utah encountered the couple after a passerby reported a physical altercation between them. Despite the fight, both the male and female reported they are in love and engaged to be married and desperately didn't want to see anyone charged with a crime, stated a report from the officer Eric Pratt. The officer suggested that the couple split up for the night and described Petito as confused and emotional. The police department has been widely criticized for its handling of the reported domestic violence incident, and city officials have opened a review into it. But Petito's postings stopped suddenly in August, and Laundrie returned to his family's home without her on 1st September. When Petito's family were unable to contact her, they reported her missing 10 days later. Laundrie refused to cooperate with investigators. He then went missing himself, with his family saying they believed he had gone to the nature reserve where his remains were eventually found. Petito's remains were discovered in the remote Wyoming National Forest on 19 September, where they had last been seen together. Several days after that, Teton County Coroner Dr. Brent Blue ruled her death a homicide and announced she had died by manual strangulation. So that was the information on that. So what is there to say about this case? What is the argument for having seen the video? Had the officers been more under the impression that there was a danger to livelihood, well, of course, the officer did. They were under a certain. They have certain protocols to follow. Like if there's a domestic disturbance admitted to, if there's domestic violence, they have to be separated in that instant of when they are dispatched to. That they are dispatched to. If there is violence admitted between the couple, I believe that's what they said their policy was. They are supposed to do that. Whether it's mutual combat or not. Now, the thing that comes to question is when people start to conflate the stories of domestic violence and women that have been victims of domestic violence, and how they'll take the blame, or they'll try to, protect the accuser or not accuser, but protect the abuser. Could that have been the case? Very well could have been the case. Will we ever know? No. So the idea that that's being used as the standard to voice this against is it's a good comparison, but it's not something you can use specifically, because what about the instance of times where the women are the violent ones, which is what it sounded like the officer was under the impression of her being the aggressor. So if we're going to use our inferencing, and we're going to use other people's experiences to compare against the experience or this occasion, then we must consider all scenarios, because they're all going to be arbitrary anyway, because none of them we will ever find out are fact or not, because both parties have been identified as deceased. So, that being said, it's not a happy day that people are dead. It's not a good thing people are dead if they truly are dead. As I say, I take nothing away from the experiences and this event, shall it be true in any way the thing followed. Like whether Brian Laundrie was the killer, and then he then went and on to kill himself, whether or not a homicide was committed against him. These things, so there's no evidence to. Technically, there's no evidence pointing to him as the killer, right? Because if there was, not that's been disclosed publicly yet, at least, and there's no evidence pointing. There's no evidence disproving it either. So, all this stuff is it's up in the air, but it's surely interesting. What I will say, keep an eye out. Go back to the dates where these stories were first reported. Look at all the global news that was happening at the time. Now, to say this has anything to do with race in terms of prioritizing a certain color's race over another, that's low hanging fruit. No, that's another distraction. Who, like, a missing person is a missing person. Like, whoever gets the most attention is the one that has the most connection with media, and the one that media can spend the most, the one that's most salacious, the one that has, the ones that will get attention. If people don't care about people, if a certain group of people is not cared about on a large scale to the audience of a certain media source, that the media source is not going to play the non-interesting story. That's bias, sure, in itself, but also understand the other stories that could have been going on, and besides missing people. Not that missing people are important; they're well important. They should be prioritized, right? And the people that can do something about it should know about it, right? And they should definitely get their time. But as everyone's being looked for, if you're going to give someone a certain amount of time of light to be found, everyone deserves the same amount of time to be found. So don't prioritize one over the other. So that being said, that's the end of that. And people are realizing this as well. Not to be distracted by the things that are most popular in the media, because there's always an agenda, and people know that, and that's coming more and more to light. But also realize that just because there's a large amount of people that know that, there's also the majority that don't, because that's why they are still popular. That's why they still play the same stuff, because they know they could get away with it, because they know their audience who's actually supporting them, keeping them alive, keeping their lights on, are looking for the things that they put out. I wish the families of both of these individuals peace. I hope as much information that comes out about what transpired for each event is able to come out. I'd like to have that information. And it's very strange too. Like, I was there in those national parks, like going through like it's the Midwest, but west, that northwest area, Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming. I was in those same parks a few weeks before they were, and I'm like, wow, Huh. It's an interesting ththing. I was like the very park she was found in. I have pictures of. I have yet to post. Um, I think it may or may not be the same national park. Um, I'll have to recheck that. As I said, I didn't. I was not distracted by this story. I did not pay much attention to it. Um, like the only reason I saw the video before I heard anything about it because I wasn't looking. I was on social media at all. But then when I go on social media uh, for my few minutes a day, and then at that time I hadn't been on for a week or so, and I went on and I was seeing these posts about it, and I'm like, wow. But before that, I had seen the police video because I do watch law enforcement videos, legal videos, and read a lot of legal papers and such, and write about those things. But yeah, sad story. Brian Laundrie's family, wish them peace. Gabby Petito's family, wish them peace. And I bet they won't disclose the contents of that notebook. That was not missed on me inside of this article. They said near his backpack, notebook, and item of clothing. So what was the notebook for? If they found all of Gabby Petito's items, what is my prediction? I hope, or what I predict is whatever website she was working on is going to be finished by, is going to be taken over by a family friend. It's going to get popular for a while, make a lot of, she's going to have a memorial site. That's some information I ran across as well. That she was making a website. Says she posted stuff. Her videos probably have went up in views and all that stuff. That money's going to be redistributed to the family and people supporting that and such, and yeah, and all those things. To each their own. Is this a good example of how to prevent this type of death with an example of domestic violence situation? I'd say it can be used as a resource, but it's not a tool. Well, it's like it'd be like if you had like a rubber handle on a hammer, it would be like one of the studs that keep the handle grippy. So it's inconsequential if it is removed, but it could be of some use to a certain degree, like accompanied by other things and a support, and then just helping the actual brunt end of it. So this story is not a good example of anything. It's a great police interaction. I'm just going to say it, the behavior, her behavior is not unique. It's not unique behavior of someone that has either suffered for domestic violence or someone that is pulling the wool. So, unfortunately, and just like on Brian's end, it's not his behavior is not different than that of someone that is defending his or not necessarily. He sort of, his behavior is not demonstrative of necessarily someone that is overtly aggressive in his demeanor with interaction with police, which is which is what abusers can do, but also he could just be that type of person. You know, when people are putting on a face in front of police, they are replicating some behavior that exists, that they are able to disguise themselves within, meaning that disguise they're wearing is something that works for other people because it's honest. So just because someone else is using this behavior and being dishonest does not mean that behavior is intrinsically dishonest. Do you know what I'm saying? So on both ends. So because the behavior that is demonstrated could be fair play and honest within a difference in either scenario, you know, or it could be dishonest because we don't have the facts of everything that happened on the road. We don't have their testimony. We don't have the possibility of that testimony. You must be objective on what you do have, which is not a lot. So the things that you hypothesize, I suppose, not even hypothesize, the things that you theorize, you need to be even. Ask questions on both ends, in both that would make them look like they're the aggressor and make them that would ask them if they're the victim. That's all I gotta say about this. If you have any, thank you all for those that watched this first live stream. This was really just a practice live stream, but thank you all for joining me. If you did, even just watching afterwards, appreciate your time. All right, be blessed, stay blessed, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.